I'm Piotr Kulczakowicz. As you can see, good job on my last name. I'm leading Quantum Startup Foundry at the University of Maryland. It's a quantum technology startups accelerator, incubator, you name it. Really, it's about connecting startups to our rich ecosystem. Over the past 4 years, since we started in April 2021, we conducted over 300 conversations with entrepreneurs, startups, and so on and so forth. We engaged in about 50 meaningful relationships where we think we created value by interacting with companies. We grew to about 20 companies that are being affiliated with the Foundry. Part of our ecosystem at UMD focused on startups includes the Discovery Fund, which is managed separately by my colleague Stan Smith. He made 2 investments in quantum technology startups. And we have 2 more in the works and the pipeline. Our today's panel, the objective is really to provide the perspective on investment sort of sentiment and environment from the trenches, from the perspective of the startups. So our panel covers a broad spectrum of startups in terms of size, investment stage, product development level, technology readiness level, you name it, from Roger at Color, who is about to start his crowdfunding campaign to launch the product, to QERA, extending $230 million investment round. So we cover the large scope of startups. And let's start with quick introductions. So maybe let's start with maybe Trevor. And really quickly, a couple of sentences, who you are, what your company is, what your company does, and so on and so forth.
Yes, thanks. So I'm Trevor Shalou. I recently joined the QRA team on the commercialization side to start up our marketing function. And at QERA, we're building full-stack quantum computing solutions based on neutral atom technology. That would help. Did you hear me? Hopefully you guys heard me. So we're building full-stack quantum computing solutions based on neutral atom technology. And we are currently selling those to enterprise innovators, early adopters within the enterprise space, HPC centers globally, and we're also collaborating with national and regional quantum initiatives.
Masashi.
Good afternoon. My name is Masashi. I am a CEO and co-founder of Nanofiber Quantum Technologies. We call NanoQT for short. We are based in Tokyo and also College Park in Maryland. And we are developing quantum interconnect hardware, especially engineered for neutral atom-based QPU. Our proprietary technology is to manufacture ultra-low loss nanofiber cavity. And our initial market is to basically target for QPU providers like QERA. And also, we are thinking to expand the market in quantum communication as well.
So maybe Rez next.
Hi, my name is Rezlin Boushati. I'm the co-founder and CEO of FaceShift. And we're a recently formed startup working on integrated photonics and flat optics to help service and scale the quantum community. As we're a photonics company, of course, we look at other more mature markets such as AR, VR, display, et cetera, to de-risk. But we think there's a lot of potential for photonics, flat optics, and the quantum industry to sort of have a marriage there.
So far, 3 hardware companies. Now we're moving to software. Blake.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Blake Martin. I am the co-founder and CTO of Singularity Quantum. Basically, we use quantum computing and fluid dynamics to detect heart disease from a coronary CT scan to eliminate any invasive diagnostic procedures. We started about a year ago, closing the pre-seed round, moving on to the seed round soon. And I also work as the venture associate at QWC Ventures, where we invest in quantum computing technologies, so I get to see both sides of everything.
Thank you. Roger, Color.
My name is Roger Mao. I'm co-founder of Color, and we're a quantum education company building an interactive quantum experience completely based around an interactive qubit. We think the fundamentals of quantum are, frankly, a little bit difficult to access, and with the big push from Maryland to bring quantum down to high school, middle school levels, we think we have the perfect solution. We're actually going to be a direct-to-consumer brand first. So if you want to support us on Kickstarter, I will shamelessly plug that we're launching in about a month. You can find us at www.color.com or on Kickstarter. And we're building a full experience so that somebody can go from not understanding anything about quantum to coding a real quantum computer in 90 minutes with no code, no physics, and no math necessary.
It's okay to have this plug in, and this is not a cat in the box, it's a qubit in the pocket.
Yes.
All right. As a background, I have a little bit of graphics from McKinsey and Company, from their monitor report about, official view, one official view from mine and your former employer, right, on the investment environment. But let's hear from the startup. So, Roger, we'll start with you. And the question really is, how would you describe your company's financing stage in more detail? And what was the main challenge, or what do you see as the main challenge if you are going to be raising funding?
Yeah, so we've been full-time on this for a little bit less than a year. And we've been completely bootstrapped because, frankly speaking, hardware isn't, at least educational hardware. You can talk about products like Sphero, which they're probably the most successful one in terms of teaching STEM education in quantum or in computer science. But the educational space is a little bit unknown in quantum right now. We're bootstrapping and we're testing the consumer market for the demand for learning about quantum, because quantum is something that's in the cultural zeitgeist. You hear about it in Ant-Man and all these movies, and anytime anybody wants to hear something, be scientific or a little bit snazzy, they throw quantum in it. And the crazy thing is, you go on YouTube, you look at all these videos, and all the comments are, I know nothing about quantum, and I just watched this video, and I still know absolutely nothing. And so we really wanted to build an experience that we've talked to some investors, frankly, unknown on the venture capital. We've talked to some venture capitalists, and it's probably not a venture capital type of business. It's a 1000x expand across globally. It's not deep tech. But we think it's fundamental in terms of building out the quantum pipeline and the talent to harness these technologies that these other guys are building when the hardware gets there. Maybe we might search for some angel investment in the future, but frankly, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Who knows how many people are actually interested in learning quantum from that deep level? I mean, got a great hint here. It's all those high schoolers. I don't know if you've read their posters, but diving into it at a really early age. And frankly, when my co-founder and I got interested in quantum mechanics and quantum computing, it's great to see that we went from, 2 people out of 500 in a high school to now, 10, 20, 30 high schoolers in high schools and working with college programs. So maybe the industry will get proven and it'll be easier to find investment, but frankly speaking, we've been bootstrapped. We're raising funding in order to fund manufacturing, and I'm very partial to this way of running a real business and making money and growing the business this way. But obviously for deep tech, you need a little bit of a different journey and pipeline.
Wonderful. So you are rising, it's crowdfunding, the purpose is making qubits. What would be the main challenge, you think?
I think the primary challenge is making it accessible enough for people. So bringing the price down to a point where somebody can explore this solution. So we've talked to a lot of parents and educators, and there's kind of two modi of thinking where, hey, parents are looking for opportunities for their kids to explore, especially in STEM and especially in emerging technologies. So they're willing to try a bunch of stuff. And the other one is, hey, my kid is already in quantum. In fact, I talked to this 12-year-old kid at this expo, and the level of knowledge he had on quantum computing, frankly, blew me away. It was incredible to see, and it gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Awesome. I mean, could be in every classroom, maybe?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Or every kid with a Kubi, right? Let's move to Rez.
Yeah, sure. So the
Same question, right? Are you rising, closing, purpose? And,
Yeah, so we're raising seed right now. We've closed half of it and looking to close the other half soon. Generally, the sentiment that I see from investors, from speaking to them quite regularly, is that, and maybe you can even see it in the slot behind me, but there's an uptrend in terms of interest of quantum. And a lot of VC firms that maybe have not even had a sort of a quantum division are now all talking about either opening one or have already started opening a quantum division for really looking closely at quantum or quantum adjacent companies. I would say the biggest challenge that I think everyone faces, and to be frank, both from the entrepreneur side and the investor side, is really understanding the market and really understanding when investors get returns on this technology. Because we all know it's growing very fast, but eventually you need to exit, someone needs to exit, someone needs to
So you're rising, closing, half of the amount you target is in the bank.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose?
So the purpose, of course, as I think most startups, is to really help scale our technology, scale our photonics and flat optics out of the materials that we make them from, to sort of build the foundational manufacturing capabilities.
And the main challenge?
The main challenge is technical in terms of we need to scale this and we need the right tools to do this.
But was it easy to convince investors that your company is a good investment?
So, was it easy? Yeah, I guess so. it depends on the team you have, really. That's a big part of it.
All right, let's move to Blake. Same question. Are you rising, closing? What's the purpose, the main challenge?
Yeah, so like I said, we are closing the pre-seed round pretty much right now. We're going to raise about $1 million, and we're moving on to the seed round pretty soon. The biggest challenge that we're facing is, since we're quantum computing and biotech, it's sort of a chicken and the egg situation. So the quantum computing investors want us to de-risk the biotech, the FDA stuff, but the biotech investors want us to de-risk the quantum stuff. So we have to get one in order to get the other, and it's really hard to kind of get both on board or collaborate with each other. So it's kind of just brute forcing everything and talking to everyone that we can in order to get people on board. So for us, for the pre-seed round, we did a rolling pre-seed for about a year and ended up raising about $1 million, which actually worked out pretty well for us, so we could hire as we went and kind of grow organically with the prototype and partnerships. And now, since we've gotten some good quantum investors and some health tech investors, we can move on to the seed round and hopefully scale up a little bit more rapidly. So for the seed round, we'll be commercializing, using this to get all the way through FDA approval and clearance and getting to market.
All right, thank you. And Masashi?
Yeah. So financially, right now, in the last 3 years, we've raised around $10 million as seed round by venture capitals in the United States and Japan. And we are currently raising Series A. We're about to close. And I think in the last 3 years, investment landscape, I mean, probably it shows already, it's changing. And I do think the dependence on the public funding is getting more important. And as you see the graph, you see that the ratio of the public funding is actually increases over time, while the total investment stays the same. And we leverage public funding a lot in the last 3 years. And that really important for especially hardware development, which is intrinsically uncertain because of lots of R&D work. And we use a lot of equipments, lasers and things, which takes a couple of months to get it. So, runway management is very tricky. And the variability of public funding is very important now and continues to be like that. And for fundraising, I do see a couple of challenges. One is, the quantum is one of the kind of emerging technological topics, like generative AI, machine learning, clean tech, electrification. Investors has a lot of different emerging technology topics that they have in mind. And compared to those topics, quantum is still very small. In terms of investment, it's still a factor of 10% or even a few percent. And we need to really convince investors to really invest in quantum right now. And so we really need to make sure the quantum is relevant to actually Gen AI or machine learning, and even quantums can deliver distinctive different impact than the generative AI and others. So we really need to make sure that we convey the compelling narratives. And the second challenge is number of startups in quantum is increasing. So industry domains are getting crowded. So we really need to make sure we deliver a very distinctive value in the market, meaning like how different we are against the existing players and why that difference matters to the current technology roadmaps or industry growth. So at this point, really, we need to make sure to kind of convince the investors. And I don't have a clear still answer yet, but I'm always, what I'm thinking, yeah.
So Series A, what's the main use of the rise?
Yeah, so I cannot disclose the target amount, but there is a limit of public funding because always there is a restrictions. Like we can't really commercialize fully commercialize the systems that we develop through the public funding. But we need a really big size of money at one time to really build our own systems. So in that case, we really need to rely on equity funding. And for us, like the hardwares, and we need to develop the first commercialized machine. So we definitely need like more than 10 or around like 20 million, like that kind of order for raising. Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, so earlier this year, we announced our Series B round of $230 million, led by Google and SoftBank. We recently just announced the expansion of that with NVIDIA. And I think the biggest challenge that we're seeing as a hardware manufacturer in the quantum computing space is the increase in the public valuations of the publicly traded companies has attracted a lot of new capital into the QPU space. And for us, the biggest priority, and maybe less of a challenge, but just kind of a different approach that the company has taken, is finding investors who are truly strategically aligned with what we think we can deliver within the window that we're planning to use that investment. There's certainly a lot of momentum. I think I saw something the other day that within the kind of hardware space, if you also include the application layer, which is a place that QWERA also plays, there's been $2.5 billion raised just this month alone. And so there's kind of this flurry of activity, and with that comes really increased expectations of when some of these products are going to be commercialized and what is the value associated with them. And so for QWERA, we found what we think are very strategically aligned investors who have clear visibility into kind of the nearer term milestones that we can hit and how that builds to an eventual future. And so, having that real specificity with what the funds are intended to be used for and with the time horizons of which we can hit them is kind of what's driving the amount that we've raised and again, who we've chosen to partner with in those raises.
Wonderful, thank you. A quick yes or no answer to two questions. First question, let's start with Masashi and pass the mic to the left. Did the private investment environment and sentiment in quantum space improved from 2024 in 2025? Yes or no? 25 versus 24. McKinsey ends at 24, so just your personal feeling. Did it improve or not? Yes, no.
Quite a mix. Well, yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Is it a yes?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Okay. Compared to the last year, right? 22.
Today, 25 versus 24. Improvement or not? From the perspective of a startup
I
rising?
think it improves, yeah.
Okay, yes. All right.
I would say yes.
Blake?
I would also say yes.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Okay, and the second question is, what do you anticipate for 26? Is it going to improve over 25 or not? Yes or no?
I think yes.
Most likely.
Yes or no?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
I think no.
I think of as of recently, I think flat would be a win for next year.
So no improvement.
I mean, it's been
Yes or no?
no.
Masashi?
Next year, right?
Yes.
Actually,
Over today,
over today.
2025.
No.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I was unexpected. So maybe just very quickly, why do you think so?
Oh.
The no people, let's.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on a lot of things like macroeconomic situations, and also. Like
So are you
stock
saying
market
a lot of
movements.
uncertainty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Irrespective of technological advancement of quantum,
Okay.
so we are still subject to
Got it.
Yeah.
How about Trevor?
Yeah.
Any flavor
guess,
on the no?
I guess my no was a reflection of I don't know if it'll be as top heavy next year, but hopefully there will be kind of a more widespread funding across the ecosystem.
Yeah. And Blake?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. I was going to say it's more of the macroeconomic conditions that I was saying no on, not the progression of quantum.
Of course,
also
yes.
uncertainty what's going on.
Excellent. Let's see. We're doing well on time. We have a couple of minutes for questions from the audience. Any questions? Can I borrow a mic? And if you don't have any questions, oh, there you go. Awesome.
Hey there, thank you. So, hello everybody, I'm Kenise Hill, I'm from the U.S. Department of State. And I was curious, what did you all do before this? Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's related to the company? Like, you didn't just decide to do this one day, you were doing something else before, right?
Any taker on the question?
I can start off. So I was in the quantum computing space for a few years prior to this, also at a hardware manufacturer, and prior to that, I spent 8 years at Google in various commercialization roles. And so I joined the space just because of the potential and both from the ability for the technology to drive good in the world, but also the large economic opportunity.
Prior to this, I was a master's student at University of Southern California in quantum information science. So I had a pretty good technical background, but I wanted to get into the business area. So I started working in venture capital for quantum technologies. And I did that for about 2 years before co-founding this.
I was in low-code software doing finance and strategy for a bit, went a bit to a government contractor. My co-founder is actually the one that spent 3 years at QCware and doing quantum evangelism, teaching, all of that stuff. And I've always had a deep interest in STEM education because that's what I loved as a kid, even though I went into finance, which I think is maybe a little bit odd, but I've always loved coding and building stuff. Way too many 3D printers, half of them are broken, just due to the tech. But yeah, that's kind of my journey.
Yeah, so I was also in the quantum computing hardware space, and before that, I was there for a couple of years, and before that, I was just surviving my PhD. So, yeah.
Yes. Quickly. Yes. Before that, I was a management consultant at McKinsey & Company, and before that, I was a scientist at MIT, not in quantum computing, but quantum sensing.
All right, thank you. What would you offer as an advice to a startup raising capital? Last question of the session.
Me? Myself?
Whoever wants to take first.
Okay. Well, yeah, advice I think I probably have communicated, but we really need to develop compelling narratives to deliver distinctive impact by quantum. While always make sure the relevance to other technologies like generative AI, other technologies, because we really need to avoid that quantum is this kind of isolated technologies, right? So that's number one. Number two, make sure your technology is quite relevant in even the congested, quantum ecosystems, and how it's relevant to the advancement of technologies.
I would say work to maintain as much flexibility as you can in these funding rounds by, don't work off of the most aggressive assumptions in your roadmap as you're out raising, and give yourself that optionality.
I would say know exactly what your product is and how you're going to provide value. And when you start fundraising, start talking to investors as early as possible, because investors want to see constant progress and progression in what you're doing, so they can kind of see how you're progressing and making all these advancements throughout the months, and then they can provide investment later.
I might be coming at this from a completely different angle, but for us, it was a lot of just not being afraid to put it out there, ask questions, be bold, talk to people, and if your market is a bit undefined like ours, try and meet as many people as you can in that. And honestly, just get rid of the fear. You're gonna feel it, but you just got to deal with it and interact with people, trying to find where that market opportunity is and communicate that. If you are looking for investors, probably knowing what they want to hear and making it so that your story can fit with theirs, not to pigeonhole anybody. But.
And I'll quickly echo what everyone here said. The first thing I would say is make sure you're differentiable from the rest of the players in the market. And the second thing I would really say is that money goes away fast. So understand exactly why you're raising and what you need to do with that raise. And it'll probably be a little bit more than that needed.
Easy to spend other people's money.
Yeah.
Excellent advice. Thank you very much. We still have a little bit of time. Are there any additional questions from the audience? Oh, there you go.
Hi, my name's Nick. I work in the economic development space, and something that I keep hearing in quantum, and I think across the board, but especially in quantum, is that there's a big challenge, kind of a roadblock around workforce development, talent development. So what do you see? Do you see that as a roadblock? How do you see that being fixed? I mean, Roger, it seems like you're getting in there at the ground floor, starting with like K through 12 education in quantum, but curious to hear people's thoughts.
Any taker? Roger.
I've actually been to a lot of these types of conferences, and every single time people ask, hey, what are the barriers? Everybody at the top, all the leaders say, like, hey, we don't really have the workforce in place to take advantage of the technologies. And Governor of Maryland and a lot of leaders are saying, how do we build out this tech? I mean, I think it was only recently that even universities at the undergraduate level are expanding their quantum programs in order to really develop that pipeline. But from our analysis and our ground floor research, that there is deep interest even at the lower levels. And if you want kids to even consider doing anything quantum when they get to college, they kind of got to know about it and understand why it's fascinating in order to make that deep time investment. Because I don't know when you guys declared your majors, I mean, you went into PhD and all that, but it's usually freshman or sophomore year, right out of high school. And if you're not getting this in front of them at middle school, high school ages, they're not going to know about it. They're not going to even explore this opportunity. And if you want to be able to commercialize the tech and be able to use it in 5-10 years when the tech gets there, yeah, you gotta, the workforce definitely needs some work, and a lot of people have mentioned that.
Sure. So I'll just echo what he said in that really it has to start from education. There's definitely, in my opinion, a lack of highly qualified workforce, and a lot of highly technical people are kind of sort of being bounced around between different quantum companies because there's just not enough talent. So it really has to start from the bottom up, from the sort of education system in the States, really. That's how I view it as well.
I don't think there's much of a talent gap for what you're talking about. I think more of the issue is a lot of the quantum companies, a lot of the more established quantum companies don't want to spend the time teaching and mentoring people, so they're not taking entry level. So gladly, I'm still good friends with a lot of people that are still in grad school or freshly out of grad school, and a good amount of them still don't have jobs, even though they're very qualified, know what they're doing, because of this notion of these companies not wanting to teach a lot of new people. I think the problem really arises later on when we have a much bigger quantum ecosystem and a lot more companies and a larger workforce. The amount of people coming out of academia right now won't be able to sustain that much growth, but that's something for 5 or 10 years later.
Trevor, Masashi, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what's been said. I think in the near term, partnerships are really key to help kind of compensate for where that senior level talent is. I mean, QRA is partnering with NanoQT as an example around a core piece of technology that we're not necessarily developing in-house currently. And then, yeah, I think long term, there's an ecosystem development play, and there's lots of efforts happening, regionally across the U.S. and globally where workforce development is kind of a part of the investment, and I think to the extent that quantum companies can get engaged in those ecosystems, it'll help.
Just quick, I think it's a workforce shortage is an issue and will be the issue globally, and especially in let's say in the hardware domain. There are definitely short of a scientist or engineer. It takes time to train hardwares, and very limited institutions or university can train those people with specific expertise. Let's say in the neutral atoms and ion traps, superconductor circuits. So in order to increase those workforce, definitely we need intervention by governments or more long-term planning as well. And otherwise there'll be a bottleneck, not only in the production, but also sales of the QPU, because the sales of QPU entails deployment of a couple of like R&D stuff always. And let's say a lot of, for example, in Japan, a lot of QPU provider want to sell the QPU systems in Japan, but they cannot form the local team because Japan doesn't have talent in hardware in specific qubit format. For example, ion traps. So that will be one of the bottlenecks in the future.
I will add 2 comments to it from a QSF perspective. I made an offer to a very capable candidate to join the foundry, and QERA made a counteroffer. She's with QERA. And also, we partner with the coding school, Qubit by Qubit, and they are a nonprofit in quantum computing education K through 12. And I think their numbers are in tens of thousands of kids who are exposed and invited and inspired to learn about quantum computing. I'm getting a message that we have time for one more question. Anyone? Oh. No, Cortex?
Eddie? I'm wondering how you can provide value for clients before quantum computers are truly commercially viable.
How can you provide value to the clients before quantum computers achieve scale and fulfill the dream or expectation?
Since our company is in the business of selling quantum computers right now, I think the way we try to position the value is less around the ability for them to deliver commercial value from the application results, and more around the ability to prepare, upskill current teams, get them exposure to solving problems in a new way, experimenting on the devices so that you can inform application-specific roadmaps that will allow you to have clear insight into when the moment to invest is, what are the characteristics of various systems and platforms that would signal that that moment has arrived. Those are all things that are incredibly valuable to an enterprise customer. And then, as we were just talking about, related to workforce development, quantum ecosystems, now is the time for them to be developed, and there's real tangible value beyond just the capability of the system of various levels of government being involved and investing in that space.
Well, actually, for us, it's a little bit interesting because on our platform, using the QBs, we take the gates that you rotate and perform, and we can actually send them to a real quantum computer. We're currently sending IBM, but maybe in the future, get some other ones in there, get some interesting reports back. But yeah, the educational space of, I think IBM provides some free credits every month. But it's an interesting opportunity for anyone that wants to explore how these quantum computers work.
Yeah, and from our perspective, given that we're mostly a photonics company, we're always looking at more mature markets that are that are ready for photonics, flat optics, etc. So that's the way we de-risk our short-term goals.
One thing a lot of startups are doing are providing sort of consultancy to these bigger companies. For example, banks and financial institutions are basically all interested in quantum and they want to get ready for it. So a lot of people provide some sort of consulting to get them ready or at least educate them on what to do when it is available. Same with a lot of healthcare institutions and hospitals and basically a lot of bigger consulting companies as well. So that's one way to provide value to bigger customers and sort of get ready to have partnerships with them in the near term. Yeah.
Sashi, last chance.
So yeah, I think it's really like the utility level of quantum computers. The bar for the utility level is still changing because the discovery of impactful applications is is being generated, and we really need to push the effort to identify more impactful application using the near-term hardware specification. And in order to do that, I think the engagement from end user side is definitely needed because this is more like a joint co-creation process. So in order to really find those applications, I think the early engagement with the clients or end users is quite critical.
Actually, do you think the application ends, like finding these new applications, is going to come more from the end user side, knowing more about quantum and finding those applications to use, or do you think it's going to have to come from the quantum computing side?
Yeah, my understanding is basically from both sides.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, there are maybe a couple of algorithms, but we need to make sure that it's economically viable, right?
Yes.
So that test is definitely done in the end user side,
Yes.
in actual operation, right? So.
Well, thank you, our brave panelists. Please, a round of applause. I also realized that we have 4 hardware companies, arguably. I mean, Roger is kind of both. Well, actually, everybody is both. But anyway, I should have thought about better representation on the software side. Thank you all. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the conference.